I love training dogs, but I got to come up with, at the beginning, I got to figure out, okay, I can't be on the phone 24/7
Right.
scheduling and doing things. That's why I have a scheduling app. It's all self-serve.
Yep.
You schedule
We have the technology.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to the entrepreneur stuff, yeah, I did the pooper scooper. I did photography. I have the drone business,
Right.
the aerial photography, video business, and
It's getting
that
your name, your face out
yeah,
there doing something
but
creative. Yeah.
the dog training is, that keeps me thinking. It keeps me goal oriented.
Good morning, everybody. This is Sipping Success Small Business Spotlight, presented by Blue Suede Brews Coffee. I'm your host, Evan Presley, and today I'm excited to be sitting down with Gray Wolf Canine, Myke. Myke, how are we doing today? It's always the intros that are rough for me, but
Hey, this is great.
got to start.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for hosting me as well. It's cool to see.
Yeah, these are everybody that all the dogs that have helped me learn
Yeah.
something in life. Not only about dogs, but a lot about people too.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that you immediately put it that way. It's not what you taught them; it was what they taught you. That's
definitely.
really cool.
Yeah, always learning. When it comes to dogs, it's I'm constantly learning about them, but I really learn about them when they're right there in front of you.
Right.
And you have to work different behaviors, and dog is in general. Everybody thinks that they learn the same way, but oh, it's a dog. We just do the same thing with every single dog, but really they have personalities.
Yep.
They're different. And it all depends on what they have learned up until the point that I meet them.
True,
if it's a bad behavior, or if they're an outstanding dog.
Yeah, and definitely how it just like people, how they grew up.
Yeah.
Or
A lot of times,
thereof.
and we'll talk a little bit about how people raise their dogs.
Some pet peeves for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I've got pet peeves with coffee.
Oh yeah. And thanks and that's how we actually met, was through your coffee. And
it's funny how it comes around. That's how I meet everybody lately is through coffee, which is so welcoming to me.
Yeah. The farmers market. So, I go there after we do our group training, and, take some dogs there, because it's a little bit more, the environment's different. There's dogs that are crazy there. There's lots of people, the noises, there's a lot of stuff that you can work the dog through. And at that point in my life, I was looking for coffee. I don't know if you remember me telling you about it.
Not much. That's been the issue, is that we never get to talk too much.
Yeah. So I went on this diet. So I'm down since the beginning of the year, 45 pounds.
Jeez.
Yeah, 45 pounds, and I love coffee. But one of the things that one of the individuals that I was following, or trying to learn, about health and dieting, and you got to get rid of the cream. I love cream and sugar, in the coffee.
Yeah.
And French vanilla coffee was always good.
That was always what I went to when I was just drinking store-bought. French vanilla.
But you can't. So I was like, they were saying you got to go black, you got to go coffee, you got to do the black coffee. So I tried it. You don't know how much money I wasted at the store. Of buying little containers, $6 to $10 containers of coffee. Let me try this. No, let me try this. It was bitter. It was burnt. It was, it reminded me so much of the Starbucks coffee. And people love it, but I don't want to fruit it up. I don't want to, foo-foo it up, I guess.
No, absolutely. Yep.
And then when I tried yours, I was like, I'm gonna give this a shot. And ever since, I get my fix. Fix from you. So it actually helped. It's this is not the only reason. So it's not like your coffee is the miracle growth of losing weight, but it's just one thing. It's one thing. You gotta, when you look at you have
to take the steps.
Yeah.
And that's one of them.
Yeah, you got to cut out things that are gonna make you feel worse. Make you feel bad. But more energy, more, because I felt like if I foo-fooed the coffee up, like if I was out, Dunkin' Donuts was my stop, cream and sugar, when you get it.
Right, and they
Oh
pour
my
the heck
gosh,
out of it and
yeah,
dunk it.
and even
Yeah.
their cream is sweetened to a
Yep.
point, and then you add sugar into it. So when you have that kind of coffee, yeah, it feels good for a minute, but then you crash.
Huge
You
crash.
crash. I don't crash.
I mean, that's their marketing. I don't know.
Yeah, they
Like
want you to come back
they
for
want you
more.
to come back. Like, oh, I need another
they
fix.
just they just reel you in a little
Right.
bit, but yeah, I don't have a crash. I don't have a crash. I have, and this is everything. My whole
Right.
changes in diet and in how I look at food now. It's in especially with my age, but it feels good. It
Good.
feels it feels really good. But yeah, so that's how we met,
Yep.
and I appreciate it. And I haven't tried any other coffee, and
And you can, by the way, you don't have to be
well, I'm
fixated on me.
hooked. You got me
Yeah.
hooked. You
Yeah,
got me
exactly.
hooked.
And I'm very grateful too, because you are one of our, like, yeah, you're always coming back. Ever since the beginning of the market, you've come back. So I've been very fortunate to see that, and I know that I'm doing something right. Because it was a journey I just started this year.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
I was excited. I've always wanted to do it, but I've only done a little bit of roasting back when I was 18.
So who's going to interview you for this for
I
your
always
turn?
wondered that.
Yeah.
I don't know if my wife will have to do it, or I might go back with some other people. We'll do like a 2 or 3 person podcast with a couple businesses.
But listening to your previous podcast, everyone you're learning, I'm learning, or people that are watching is learning a little bit more about you, who you are,
Right.
where you're from, your philosophy
Yeah.
on roasting the beans and
Yep.
stuff. So, the 2 episodes that you currently have out now, I'm learning, a
Yep.
little bit about you, not only the person that you're interviewing, but this is cool. This
Right. I'm making a connection too with a lot of people, which is cool. I mean, my family's always joked with, by the time I'm 35, I'm going to be president of something, and something political. I'm going to be a congressman. I'm going to be, and I don't want it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do anything in politics. But it's funny. Like I've always taken steps towards that without wanting that. Like public speaking is something I'm getting now into, and saying what my opinions are and not caring what others people say about it, but also the willingness to change those opinions.
Yeah.
And that's what I really want people to start seeing is you can change your opinion. It doesn't matter. You can go to sleep at night still.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the same thing now when we get back to dog training. It's like you learn how to communicate with dogs based on how as a kid, how did you see your parents interact with your dogs?
Yeah.
And me growing up in the 70s and 80s, 70s, I was born in 70s, so the 70s and 80s, everybody seeing my family or grandparents or how they interact with their dogs were a lot different than people are doing now, but things change through the time. Philosophies change. More dog trainers are going to different academies and learning different philosophies, techniques, and you just have to so when I started learning, this was probably back in, well, I've always been drawn to dogs for some reason. It's just, I don't know if it's just something natural for me, but I've always been just drawn to the behaviors or just the dogs in general. And, sometime in the 90s, I can't remember what the exact year, I met a guy who old man, he was in his 70s, just a grumpy old man. Nobody ever talked to him, sitting on his porch. He reminded me of a guy. He reminded me of, you ever seen Gran Torino, Clint Eastwood? Just a grumpy old man, get off my porch.
Okay, yeah.
Well, he reminded me of that person. Nobody ever wanted to talk, and then I'm struggling with a dog, and he's like, hey, come here. I'm like, oh God, what does this guy want? He has his coffee mug on the porch every morning.
Stereotypical, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what was in his coffee, or what was in his mug, was not coffee. But come to find out, this guy was, he trained police working dogs. He worked with nasty dogs, through the shelter. He trained military and military working dogs back in the day because back in he was in his 70s and the 90s. So I tried looking him up, and I can't even remember what his last name was. And dog training wasn't in the forefront of my mind at the time. And it was just, hey, help me with this dog. But he's like, come here, give me that dog. And I'm like, wow, this is great. So I
Huh.
sat with him and I drank coffee with him. I had coffee, but
You don't know what's in his
he,
drink. Yeah, yeah.
I was like, what do you got in there? It's not dark. It's like clear. but um, but yeah, so that was my first experience with somebody that actually understood
Yeah.
dogs and made me really think about, okay, what is the dog thinking? What is the dog? So his philosophy to me, I still remember this, is he asked me, why do you have this dog? I don't know. I love him. Well, why do you love him? Or how does he love you? Or,
Mm.
he started asking me questions to really make me think about the dog in general,
Yeah.
about, why did I get him? You know, what's his purpose? What's his job? And so, mosquito. Um, so
It'll
I
go for
told
the
him, and he
ankle here
goes,
soon.
to have a dog, you must first understand it. Even to love a dog, you got to understand it. You got to
Mm.
understand how it thinks, how it learns, and most importantly, how to communicate with that.
Yeah.
How to communicate with the dog, different species, different language, and
Huh.
so I'm like, okay. So he gave me a couple books to read and stuff like that, and I had moved since then. And then when I come down to North Carolina back in 2003, actually, when I moved here, 2002, 3, I can't remember. I moved to North Carolina, went on a deployment, came back. I am retired.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't know, I'm retired Army. Uh, Came back from a deployment and got a dog.
Hmm.
I had 3. I'm on my 3rd German Shepherd.
Smart dogs.
Yeah,
So smart.
they're very nice dogs. However, I probably will never have another
Yeah.
German Shepherd, unfortunately. But the first one, she was great, man. I took all his advice, and then I read and I spent time, with her. She ended up passing away at 11 months old because she had a congenital
Mm.
heart disease. So she didn't they didn't even predict her to stay, um, to to
Yeah.
live that long. So she passed away at 11 months, and then we got another dog, Sheba, and we've had her. She was a great. No, Sheba was the first dog. Nadia was the second dog, and she was great. And then unfortunately, she had gone away too. So,
Yeah.
um, and then now Huck, and he's great. And I trained before I even those dogs were
Mm.
trained before I even knew what a commercial dog trainer was or what dog training was all about before social media.
Yeah.
So it was all about, you know, what I can learn the most through reading, interpreting,
Yep.
watching, and just doing things, just trial and error.
Right.
And everybody that knows my dog Huck, before I even went to school, the academy, that he was great. I didn't have to. There was no e-collar. There was no, it was just him and I.
Yeah.
I made him.
Mm.
He was the most valuable thing, and I don't want to say that my wife was. He's not. He was. I made him a priority, and
Yeah.
he understood that. But he also he looked at me like the most important thing in the world,
Yeah.
and he
It's
still
family.
does. And he's almost going to be 12 now,
Yeah.
and so, but um, but after going to the academy, then I started learning more commercial dog training, which took me away from the organic, the natural part of dog training, and going on social media, trying to follow people and learn from other people. Because dog
Yeah.
training, you just have to want to continue to learn, and there's
Right.
people out there that don't want to continue to learn because they're so
Dead set in their
indoctrined
ways.
and
Yeah.
yeah into what they have learned. But it was so hard for me, and it was hard for me going through the academy because I had it was conflict of, okay, why are we doing this? And it was their curriculum,
Yep.
so every dog training academy that's out there is going to have their philosophy and their
Right.
curriculum on how do we train a dog. and and you won't find, if you have to dig deep into the
Mm.
bowels of the internet to find, or somewhere, or through um, hearsay, or through the network somewhere, where are the true dog trainers, the dogsmen, where are
Yep.
those people at? And I found them, and there's some that over time that I go, that are, they're, they might be, they might speak the the good words, but they might not practice what they preach.
Right.
And they have that old school mentality, and they it's you got to be careful who you pair yourself with,
Right.
because when you find out when you start to what's the word I'm looking for, when you start to uh, what is the word, when you
Trust or
well, it's all about trust, but you try to trust them, but then you're losing. They're backstabbing you, they're talking behind your back, or they're making fun of you,
yeah,
or
you
they're
find
telling
out
you doing
somebody.
everything wrong because they want you to keep coming back to them. They want you to continue to pay.
Yep.
And so with me, I have five different people that I talk to, and they're not local, but they're people that I can reach out to and have a conversation about, hey, I'm struggling with this, or what's your opinion about that? And
Almost like a support group.
yeah, mentors. Mentors. And it's tough, but you got to pay for those. You can't, it's not free. And I understand that. And I've paid for mentors that were absolutely, like I said, skills and training. Yeah, maybe, but then personally, they're horrible. They're a horrible person, so it's like, you got to just forget about that.
And with that exact subject, I when we've preached it too in previous episodes, it's finding that right person. And it's like I've always wanted to make the connection, like, as well, with, think of a therapist. You don't find the perfect therapist for you first time around. It doesn't happen. You have to keep looking, and that's just an easy example. It's like finding a dog trainer. You can say no.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that you're just stuck, and you're stuck paying. It's your money. If they're not doing what you want, or you don't like their attitude, take your dog back.
Yeah.
Find somebody who actually cares. And it's hard to find the ones that actually do care.
Yeah. I mean, it's, in today's, there's more dogs in the world today than there was ever, and there's still, so dog training. Yeah. You can make money. You can make money doing it. And, you can make a good living. And, we did fairly well. 2019, 20, 21, we did really good. I've had multiple, five other trainers, six other trainers working for me, but those dogs, we didn't have a facility, so we had no overhead. Those dogs lived with the trainer.
Yeah.
And was I conflicted about that? Yeah, I was a little bit conflicted, but I was all about, let's build.
Right.
Let's
we get
build
so
this
focused
brand.
on that. Yeah.
Let's build the brand, because after I got out of the academy, it's I had so many goals that I wanted to, but they weren't, after I started growing, or actually learning more about the dog. I don't want those same goals anymore.
You remember who you were going into it.
Yeah. And I went right back. So the stuff that I did, I learned a lot of things going through the academy, but what I really wanted was I didn't want to be like everybody else. I didn't want to be okay, every dog comes in, gets an e-collar, sit, bzz, down, bzz, come, bzz, because there's no thought around it. There's no, if you send a dog to a board and train, you send your dog for 6 weeks somewhere, 4 to 6 weeks. What education is the human getting? Well, you know what they're getting? Well, here's the e-collar. We'll put it on. You push this button for this, push this button for that.
Absolutely.
And here's how you plug it in, charge it up. And you got any questions? So dogs, and I did this.
Yeah.
I fell for this.
Yep.
And I tell everybody, I'm not afraid to say the things that I messed up on. I wish
we all fail.
Yeah. Some of these dogs on here, I wish I could just have them back. Yeah. I wish I can just have them back and just show them something, a little bit different. And, but I said, I can't do this. I can't, if we spend 6 weeks, because any dog trainer can take a dog for 6 weeks and make that dog look fabulous.
Right.
But I want to make that dog look fabulous in your hands. In 1 hour, even 2 hours of a go home lesson, that's not enough time to understand the dog. So I had a 19, 20, 21. So at about the end of 21 toward 22, I didn't want to do this anymore. I did not. I stopped posting stuff.
Hmm.
All the trainers left. Um, I wanted to change. Nobody wanted to change. Some people, a
Or
couple
for it.
wanted,
Well, it's still good for you for
yeah,
realizing it and
yeah.
taking action.
And but what I really wanted to do was focus on. I want to teach people to understand the dog, more of the philosophy behind it. Because if I can teach you, if I can show you, hey, this is how the dog thinks, this is how they learn,
Mm-hmm.
and this is how you can communicate to them, how to get your uh, communicate to them your intentions, what I
Yeah.
want you to do, and then plus the most important thing is how to get that dog, or how to read what the dog is giving you back.
Yep.
If I can do that, then you won't have to call a trainer. You won't have to, seek out, because you'll have the information. You'll
Right.
know how to create behaviors. You'll know how to fix behaviors.
Yep.
But here's what people don't do. So I have a dog, and maybe in one of the segments I can go get him and bring him out, put him
Yeah.
on the table
Yeah.
over
Absolutely.
here. So I have a dog. His name's Fritz, German Shepherd, beautiful. They sent him to a boarding training. I think he spent 5 weeks there. Very popular dog training business, very popular
Mm-hmm.
in the area. And young trainer, just out of the academy, probably a year, maybe. I don't know. I don't know this
Yep.
person. I'm just guesstimating just from watching some videos. Uh, was afraid of him.
Mm.
Told him everything. Uh, Everything that was wrong with the dog was not what was wrong with the dogs.
Mm.
Told this family, beautiful family, told this family that they had to get rid of the dog. It was a dominant dog, so he needed to be. Uh, he wasn't a good fit for your home. I'm gonna tell you that
Wow.
owner of Fritz had did a marvelous, magnificent job on. He's the one who put the obedience on that dog. He is phenomenal, but he
Hmm.
has issues. The one thing that so they picked him up and they came right here because they wanted a second opinion, and
Which you always should do.
it was a
Yeah.
very emotional for the family, because they didn't know what to do. They oh, we got to get rid of our dog. No, you don't.
Yep.
Everything that they said to them, and even in the write up that they gave me from this place, was everything wrong. He wasn't dominant.
Hmm.
He was scared. He was barrier frustrated. All I had to do was ask him, how does this dog live in your home? Because that's where
Wow.
the change has to start. And when we got down to why is the dog like that, then they started making the change at their home. But his addiction already, because he's almost 3 years old, so his addiction to fence fighting or to
Mm.
barrier frustration has increased. So if you try to correct him, it makes him mad.
Yeah.
He just gets mad because he doesn't understand his drive. He has high drive because he comes from a working line. Um, his genetics are working
Yeah.
line. He's just not a backyard bred German Shepherd like my Huck is,
Yeah.
which he's great. Um, but all I had to do is go figure out how the behavior got to the point that it is. That's where we started on.
Hmm.
It's not sending your dog away for a boarding train.
Right.
He's only here now because we're trying to. I'm trying to submerge him in as much conflict that he can overcome,
Yeah.
and do it, because and I understand when it comes to people when they want to, telling a lot of clients come and I go, you got to change this, you got to keep the dog on the leash,
Yeah.
you got to you have to teach the dog the boundaries.
Yep.
That
You
could
have to
be,
listen and you have to implement.
yeah,
You can't just.
but if you have your work outside of the home, both spouses, you have kids, you have a life outside of your dog. And so a lot of times, with Fritz, they're busy. They
Mm.
have two kids. One is a newborn, and he works. He's military,
Yeah.
and so it's stressful. So I said, let me take him in and try to just jumpstart him and just
Yeah.
try to get him better. And he's doing fabulous, and he's a wonderful dog.
Hmm. Yeah. That's an incredible story, and that's why my wife struggled because she trained dogs as well, just more behavioral, not anything like because I've seen some things on your website. Which, by the way, I don't know if you got to introduce yourself. Who are you and what is your company? What do you do? What all types of what all types of training do you do?
Oh yeah. So what we do here is we specialize in, instead of doing the commercial dog training of, hey, we do board and trains like I did in the past, it's, I want you to keep your dog. I want you to, the things that, so most of the behaviors that come through the door, nobody comes through this door going, I just want my dog to sit and down. They think of that sometimes, but there's a behavioral problem that's causing the dog not to do those things. So I go, we gotta address the behavior first, because behavior should be the primary.
Right.
For example, Fritz, phenomenal with commands. Sit down, come, he'll stay. He listens. He's very well, but he has behavioral problems. So when we're working on his reactivity, his barrier frustration, his fear, because two things with him. He's in prey drive a lot, from barrier frustration. Excuse me. And he's and he gets in defense drive too. So he's defensive. There's trust issues. I don't trust you.
Yep.
And I'm gonna let you know I'm gonna trust you. And so but when people come through the doors, I want to focus on teaching them, because everything starts at home.
Yeah.
Me taking your dog is not going, now there's going to be people out there that are going to watch this and they're going to go, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Always.
But the thing is where it's not about taking the dog and doing, if your dog just wanted to sit down, come, he'll stay, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But is your dog reactive? Is your dog aggressive? Is your dog not listening to you? Because you can't get the obedience if the behavior is, if the dog is so focused on external things.
Yeah.
So, and plus, how did the dog learn those things in the first place? That's where we got to get to the bottom of it. We got to figure out that so we can change it. It always starts with the human. It starts with them going, and it's a hard pill to swallow.
Because if it's you have to.
And I'm honest with people when they come through the door. I'm not mean. Like one of my mentors in the past is just very abusive, very, narcissist.
Yep.
I mean, his skill and his knowledge was a lot to take in, but it's just him as a person is just a horrible person. So I don't want to be that way.
Right.
So I want to teach people. I want to guide them. I want to mentor them so that they can do it. But with me, when I do evaluations, my evaluations are free. They come spend an hour with me. They spend an hour with me. We talk about how the dog is living with you. We talk about what your goals are, and then we go, okay, the first thing I want to do is, if you leave here, if you walk out this door, I'm not going to call you, because you have to want to do it. Because working with me, it's going to be harder, because
that's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, you have to want to put in the work. I don't want somebody. Now I get people that'll come in and go, oh, we'll do private lessons. So I just drop the dog off at this time. I go, no. I'm not. Your dog is just the canvas that it's that blank, that just a ball of clay that we're gonna mold. I'm gonna show you what to do, but
you gotta have to be there to mold it. I can't do it for you.
Yeah, you have to understand, because like going back to what I said before, is any dog trainer can take a dog, bring it into their home or facility, structure rules and boundaries. The dog is not going to have freedom. Where does most of the stuff that is learned when it comes to dogs? It's the freedom. It's what are they learning to do if nobody's saying you can't do that. So training doesn't start here. Well, it starts here a little bit, but the majority of it has to happen at home. You got to change the perception of the home. You got to change the perception of how the dog sees you.
And sometimes you.
Yeah, it's hard. It's and it's hard.
I mean, I'm like you said, and how you were admitting with your failures of doing it the commercial way, and realizing that it takes a big person to say that. With myself, I had a Dalmatian, and I absolutely failed that Dalmatian in so many regards with training, with the behaviors that Dalmatians are tough, and they can be absolutely aggressive if you don't
Right.
train them.
But you say it's your fault. But here's the thing: is people come in and go, oh, I know I did. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not. It's not your fault. What you don't know what you don't
Right.
know. You don't know. So now, in my perfect world, if I was dictator or king of the
Yeah.
day or ever, I would say, in order to have a dog, this is the law. To adopt a dog, to have a
Yes.
puppy, you have to take a class. You
Yep.
have to understand what you're getting yourself into. This is
Honestly,
how
I agree with that.
you have to properly raise a dog. But when people come in, like the person that I mentioned before, he would straight up tell you, call you names and
Yeah.
tell you you're just a horrible person. Why are you doing this? I'm not like that. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
I want to say, okay, I understand. Let's, even if they get emotional with their dog, they get pissed off and they want to just, I go, but I have to know that. I have to
Yeah.
know so I know what the dog has learned.
Yep.
And then I
And we're all
go,
human.
yeah. And I go, okay, now let's forget about that. Now let's move forward. However, here's the caveat. If you have the information and then you come week after week after week and the dog's not getting better, and I go, what have you done this week with the dog? Have you done the homework? Well, we've been busy. Okay, I understand. I know that. I set it up front. I know you're
Yeah.
busy. But did you did you do for example, with puppies and, new dogs that come into the home, I have them challenge their dog with something to overcome, you know, a day. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be something big, but teach them something. I'm not talking about sit or down. I'm talking about, hey, let's get your dog to climb up on something, go through something.
Mm.
And because that's how you build a bond. Oh, we didn't have time. I go, okay, well, or keep your dog on the leash because it's very frustrated barking at the fence. Well, we don't have time to do that. I go, okay, now I get not mad. I just go, if you're not willing to do the work, then then I can say I can get mad, or
Yeah.
it's your fault now
Yep.
because you have the information. You know what to do.
Right.
If you don't do it, then it's not going to get done. You can only, what's that? Take a horse. You can lead a horse to water,
Right.
or whatever
No,
that.
no, I know the same, but
Yeah,
don't ask me to
but
say it. But no, I agree with that. You have to be willing to change, and that's the premise of the podcast. Sipping success, talking about success, talking about it's not just about the success; it's about how many failures you have to
yeah,
overcome, and realize that there's going to be so many more failures than there will be ever success.
yeah.
Um,
And you're right. You're right. So my success when it comes to working with clients is seeing that relationship
yeah,
just come together.
it's genuine.
Yeah.
And that's where the success in my eyes that I see, and what my wife has seen at just the market with the dogs that you bring, and how you watch other dogs, and how the behavior of other dogs when they're interacting. Because at the markets, they're fierce.
Oh God.
Some of the
yes.
ones that they bring, I always question, why are you bringing your dog to the market if it wants to tear this other dog apart?
Yeah, it's insane.
Don't keep them at home or
Yeah.
train them.
Yeah.
And people don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Especially being a vendor, you can't be up there and go, "Hey, what do you like? Can we?"
Yeah.
Because then who do you lose? You
Yeah.
look like an ass in front of
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. But
Um,
I'll be the first to,
Yep.
to call somebody out and go, hey, that's not proper etiquette. But again, it goes back to how have they learned through that person's life how to communicate with a dog.
Right.
So it's what they're doing they think is right.
Right.
But again, I don't, like when I first started, or when I'm going into the dog fresh out of the academy, go out, hey, let me help you with your dog. Nobody
Yeah.
wants that. Nobody
Nope.
wants you to solicit to them and go, they're like, get out of here, go
Mm-hmm.
kick rocks somewhere.
Yep.
But nowadays I just look, I just go. Or there's been times where my wife has to go, Myke, and I go, but the dog is
I
struggling.
feel that.
And I go, she goes, no. I go, okay, I just, if they want help,
It's tough.
if they want help, they'll seek help.
Yep.
Most of my clients, probably 60 to 70% of the clients that come through the door have already worked through people.
Yeah.
I've already sent their dogs to training or worked with training, not only aboard and train, but private lessons, and with no success.
Yep.
Because they're sticking with a page one,
a
page
mindset
two,
that is
week one, week two, they're sticking with those things of what they learned because they're fresh out of the academy. And again, did I do that when I came?
right.
Yes. I was that person. Every dog we had to do this with every dog, but I didn't want to do that,
Yeah.
and it's just it's, I have personal success more that way
Yeah.
because I get to see the relationship. I love having dogs. Talking to Fritz's
Yeah.
dad on the phone last week, a few days ago, I was like, you know what? When I get dogs coming in for lessons, I see them once a week, maybe twice a week,
Yeah.
depending on the behavior, what they want to work on. I don't get to see the personality of the dog, especially if they're fearful or they're
Yeah.
aggressive or whatnot. But you know, uh, uh, Fritz, we fought a few times.
Yeah.
We went round around a few times, and now just to know him, oh my God, he's a phenomenal dog. What they did to him at this place, it's just unbelievable what
Yeah.
their misinterpretation or their misdiagnosis of this dog because they were afraid.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I mean, yeah, I've been bit. I don't like to promote biting, but those comes just like a construction worker's going to smash their thumb
Right.
once
It's
in a
gonna come.
while.
It's in your
So
trade. Absolutely.
yeah, I don't want to get bit. I definitely don't, but sometimes it happens. And Fritz has never tried to bite me.
Yeah.
He never tried to bite me.
Hmm.
And our relationship, you just watch that video of I posted yesterday. We're at Lowe's. I actually got this piece of
I saw that.
I got this
Yeah.
piece of carpet. If you would see how I'm gonna post some videos of how he was before soon, but he wouldn't let people get that close to him. No, but he was looking at me the whole time. But that's what leadership is. That's what bonding is.
Yep.
And it took him a few days for him to go, I don't, the first few days, I don't trust you. I'm gonna sit. You tell me to wait to eat my food or wait to come out of the crate. He's gonna growl.
Yep. Trust is earned.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I go,
And even for humans, it takes time.
but I can't show him fear, and I can't, I can't, uh, beat him up. I can't,
Right.
I can't do that. I have to earn that from him, and vice versa.
Yep.
We both communicate with each other constantly. We're not talking, we're communicating, and he's a great dog, man.
Well, good on that family too for getting a second opinion too, because
Yeah.
we mentioned before a lot of people don't like. I can't tell you how many people that I've known personally that go and get dog training, like way back when I was in Illinois, for example, that they have a fail. The trainer does not do what they needed to, or they didn't teach that it was them in the first place, and then they don't do it again. They don't trust trainers anymore. And it's like you have to keep trying to find the right person. If you don't vibe with somebody, you can say no. You don't have to hire them. So that is a huge part. So good on them for getting that second opinion.
I'm not here. I don't. People might think, oh, I'm talking trash about other trainers.
And I don't think that. And I hope the audience doesn't either.
No. Sometimes I post something and go, oh God, these. Somebody told them to do this.
See, you care. That's it. That's what you're trying to portray, and it might to some people look like it's you talking bad on, but no, when you care so much about something, it can come off rude or mean in some way. I mean, just like when you're talking about the other trainer that you said, great trainer but terrible person.
Yeah.
Right. So how many people in our lives, and this goes for everybody. I'd try to lead or to go by example of every time I start a new job, every time I start learning something new from somebody else. Sometimes I don't respect them, but I have to always tell myself, there's something that I can learn from everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like my example was the first dealership I worked for. The absolute jerk, like scream cussing at me all the time, telling me I couldn't sell. And he put me in the internet department, and just the worst kind of human being that I've ever had, the opportunity to meet. But there was one thing that he taught me, and that was courage. So I was the scared kid always. I was scared to go up to people, scared to do all this, scared to talk back was the biggest thing. So even when somebody's, I know for sure wrong, I would keep it bottled in. That could be how I was raised
Yeah.
or something. But one day I snapped, and in that snap, it was where I found my courage, where I found that I can question people. If
Sure.
somebody's doing something wrong, I can go, that's not right. Even if you're my employer, even if you're my boss, I can tell you that you're wrong. That's not right. If we disagree, fire me. I don't care.
Right.
And you just have to be willing to do it. There's jobs opportunities everywhere. I mean,
Oh yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
hiring.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's my issue right now, is finding a job for the winter months. And we were discussing a little bit on, and I kind of want to bring it up now, is the sponsorship thing. So if anybody does want to sponsor an episode, what would be a good number to pay or to even ask for doing something like that? Because you, like I mentioned with you get seven videos is what I try to do for everything, whether that be shorts or shorter videos on YouTube. But yeah, being able to learn something from everybody, just keep that mindset and know that you can move on is something huge.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got it. That's going back to dog training. It's you can get 10 dog trainers. You might not like any of them, but you
Right.
can learn something from them. And it's tough. It's tough when because you can't find good mentors out there.
Yeah.
You really have to. You really, they don't want it. They don't have the time for you. When I came out of school, I was like, oh, let me go work for somebody.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted me. I was 47 years old when I went to
Yeah.
school, and but now that I realize everybody always talks about, oh, you need what certifications do you have, or whatever. And yeah, that's good to hang on the wall. Hey, I did this 6-month academy, but I learned their philosophy, their curriculum,
Right.
their ways of doing things. How I train is not that way. Again, I did learn some things. Some things I learned from them.
Right.
But when I came out of school, I had in my head that, okay, I guess this is the way things go.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better because I didn't know about the dog training business.
Well, it almost sounds like they almost pounded into you the way to be successful in the dog training business is to be a commercial dog trainer,
Yeah,
and to make money. Where, what that's a great question to ask, is what is your definition of success now?
So
It's a big one.
Yeah. So for me, success for me is seeing that connection. It's not monetary. It's like I mentioned before, is I really don't have to do this. I'm not saying I'm a millionaire. I'm not rich. I'm far from it. I'm retired. I'm medically retired from the Army. My wife works. This when I got Huck, going on almost 12 years now. 12 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I was in a bad spot in my life, mentally,
Mm-hmm.
physically. If you look over there on the wall, the last 2 rows of that flag over there, those are all running, marathons, ultra marathons. And, I loved running.
Yeah.
Running was my outlet.
Yeah.
Running was a way to just to clear my brain and be inactive all the time. Well, I broke my back. And then I had, among other things that were going on. So I got discharged because I was planning on my goal was I want to be a sergeant major. And I was on track to do all those things until I hit that wall.
Yeah.
And there was no overcoming it. There was no overcoming that wall when it came to the military. And they said, Myke, you got to go. And so, man, I can write a whole book about how I got to that point. But having all,
even if it's only you that reads it, right?
Yeah. Oh, I've actually started a little memoir. It's called My First 20, which is very horrible. It's a lot of horrible stuff in the first 20 years of my life. But the what are we talking about?
Sergeant major.
Oh yeah. So I had all these goals, but when you get to just like anything else, when you hit a wall and there's no way to get over it. It could be this tall. You can't get over that wall. And so now I come home and I don't know what to do. So you get medically retired, you get VA disability, and so I could either sit in the bed and
Yeah.
put
Give
on
up.
weight and watch TV and, try not to start a shotgun and,
Yeah. Yep.
and do crazy things. But the, so Huck got me to that point.
Mm.
And he became, so this leads into, I can go all over the place when it comes to dogs. People that, so people talk about emotional support dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is an emotional support dog? I ask people, what do you want the dog to do? Well, I don't want the dog to, when I'm sad, to come over and lick me, or like, I just need something to rub, or to pet, or to make me feel good.
Yeah.
He made me get off my ass, and I
Mm.
worked with him. I'm telling you, before he was 4 years old. He was 4 years old when I went to the academy, and I never had to have him on a leash.
Yeah.
He wasn't on any. I didn't know what an e-collar was until I went to the school. When they said, I go, why do we need e-collars to train again? Because my shepherd,
Yeah.
he's in the back of my Jeep with he's not tied in. He
Yeah.
knows he can't get out, and I don't have a roof on it. I don't have doors on it. He's in there. He's not leaving. Why do I need an e-collar? Well, because we're in a fast food society. We want it done quick.
Yep.
And people don't have time. They're
Yep.
impatient. They get frustrated. Yes, I understand that. And then I go, okay. And then I kind of move with the flow. But what Huck did for me is he took me out of that funk and he got me moving. I didn't use him. So when people say, I want an emotional support dog, I go, okay, what is it that you want with this dog?
Yeah.
Because it's unfair to put that kind of emotional stress onto a baggage onto a dog.
It's a job at that point for the dog, right?
Yeah.
And they're always working.
Yeah. Well, it's keeping them in a weird mindset.
Yeah.
How about if I teach you how to teach this dog, and the dog gets you out of the house? We went everywhere.
Yeah.
I and 8 weeks old, I took him everywhere. He's such a, he don't care about nothing. He doesn't care about people, dogs, or anything.
Yeah.
And I did that all myself. So when people were like, oh man, your dog is great. So I would help coworkers, neighbors, friends, family. I started going, you got to do this.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And you got to do that. You got to do, you got to put in the work. And so that's where the training started. And then when then as I was transitioning, you're not going to believe what type of business I started. I started a bunch of businesses.
Yeah. You were saying you had a bunch of failures.
Yeah. Well, this wasn't a failure.
Oh, okay.
This was just a change of idea. So if you're looking for something, what I did was, the last year in the military, because I had a lot of appointments, and I had a little bit of freedom in the afternoon to work. You know what I did? I was a pooper scooper. I did pooper scooper. Yep.
Yeah, I believe that.
So I started, because I was like, well, what can I do with dogs? I'm not a dog trainer, because I didn't think you had to have schooling or whatnot. So I started a pooper scooper business. I did that business, I think it was just less than a year, because by that time it was 2016.
Yeah.
And I had to go to the academy the January of 17. So I had to shut the business down. I was billing monthly $3,000 a month, just income coming in.
That's crazy.
For automatic renewal. But I would be on the road all day.
Yep.
All weather.
You still got to work for it.
Yeah, it was, and plus I'm going through physical therapy, going to in and out of the TBI clinic for 6 months, and and then working late at night with all the materials to go and clean up poop of people's yards. In military town, when the husbands are gone, the wives don't want to clean up the poop. So it was great.
Smart. Yeah.
So what did I do is, I figured out, when I did that, I called somebody not local, because I was like, is this real? So I linked, and he's one of the persons that I still talk to today when it comes to business and stuff.
Yeah.
This guy owns a business out in Oregon, the largest pooper scooper business out there. And I think it is. I don't know. I'm just guesstimating. He's big. But I called him. Yeah.
How to do it.
I called him and I said, hey, listen, I'm in North Carolina. How did you do this? And he goes, well, You just start, you get clients, and then you get more clients, and then you hire somebody, then you get a truck, and then you hire somebody, and then you sit back and do the scheduling, and your people go out.
See, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
That he
did it in 2 years. He's up to 4. At the time I talked to him, was 4 trucks.
That, and he shared it.
Yeah. Because I don't know if it's because I wasn't local to him and I'm trying to steal his clients. That's why I reached,
which is smart.
Yeah. And I
doing your homework and not necessarily trying to, and I talk about before, competition is not a thing in my head. I don't care about competition. It's something that's created by somebody else's mindset.
Yeah. You just have to create. And your product has to be good and it has to be successful. And I don't know where I read this or saw this, but it might have been a book I read a while ago or what, but about entrepreneurship. It's, if you want to start a business, find something that solves people's problems. And I go, I love dogs. Well, I can train dogs, but now I'm really doing it because now I'm solving behavioral problems, not only for the dog, helping them get through things,
which is huge for them as well.
Yeah,
because you're retraining their brain.
Yeah, and then understanding the human, teaching them what to do and how to handle that. But that's the goal in everything. But now we go back to the 3. What is it? The 3 personalities, of owning a business. And that's another book that I can't remember. Somebody that told me, mentioned to go ahead and read, was for anybody that wants to start a business. Man, I wish I should have researched this and found out, but you can probably Google it.
I'm sure I could find
the
it.
3 principles, or the 3 personalities of owning a business, or that you must because you're private, and I'm a one-man show. You're
I'm a one-man show.
So you the entrepreneur. It's always, how can I expand? How can I create more? It's the creativity part of it. Then you have the management part of it. Trying to manage. Okay, how much do I, for you, how much do I need to make for this, and budgeting and schedule and all that stuff. But then you have the technician, the part where we love to live in. Yeah. We love that part. Well, I like the entrepreneurship part too, because that's gives you ideas. And we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, I stay up at night with all the ideas.
Yeah.
I just sit there in bed. I'm like,
what can I do?
Yeah.
But those are the 3 personalities. In most big corporations or bigger companies, those are different people in each one of those slots.
Or they kill it.
Yeah.
They don't want you to have all 3.
Yeah. So, but that's what the single person or a small private business or a small business, that's what those people are. And you have to manage that somehow. Yeah, I love training dogs, but I got to come up with, at the beginning, I got to figure out, okay, I can't be on the phone 24/7 scheduling and doing things. That's why I have a scheduling app. It's all self-serve.
Yep.
You schedule.
We have the technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to the entrepreneur stuff, I did the pooper scooper. I did photography. I did. I have the drone business. The aerial photography, video business, and
getting your name, your face out there doing something creative.
But the dog training is. That keeps me thinking. It keeps me goal oriented.
Yeah.
But the dog training,
which is huge too.
In
a small business, you have to be goal oriented.
Yeah. But
and not a million goals at once, but like a couple that you always work on and then reset. That's just something that I've learned, and it clicked here recently, was the goals.
Yeah.
Goals are huge, and I always hated it in the sales business because I was like, goals. Yeah, you always promote goals, but they don't give you anything. They don't give you any satisfaction for getting 10 cars sold.
Well, when you have goals, you have to break. So you have your one main goal, that's here, but you have to break those up in segments, because that keeps you going forward.
Right.
So if you have,
then you're progressively realizing.
You got to have success,
And